Hello, it's me, Dr. Cheryl, and I'm super excited to announce a new product coming your way next month, which is a free, did I mention, free mini course. You're going to get 4 videos, 1 per day for 4 days, each of them teaching one of the 3 keys to great relationship. You're going to get a little workbook with 1 short exercise to do every day, and it's going to help jumpstart you and your partner in your knowledge of what's working and not working in your relationship. Super excited. Never done anything like this before. Free mini course coming your way next month. If you want to be the first to get the invite to register for it, absolutely free. Make sure you're on the wait list, and then you'll get the invitation next month, and you can jump right in and start learning how to improve your relationship right now. Can hardly wait. I can hardly wait.
Breaking news. Is long-term love dead? Divorce, affairs, boredom, and no passion. Couples are losing hope.
My husband never romances me anymore. I'm so lonely.
We used to have a great sex life. Now she always says she's too tired.
Experts state 30 to 40% of couples never make love. Only 9% say they are still excited about their partner, and 90% say they have ugly arguments.
I want to fix us, but I don't know how.
I lay in bed at night thinking, is this it?
This just in. Dr. Cheryl Fraser says passion can last a lifetime. It just needs a little help.
Hi, I'm Dr. Cheryl, and it's true that it sure looks like long-term love is dead, but I'm here in this special podcast series to help you bring your dying relationship back to life. Let's get going right now. Should I stay or should I go? When the love song feels like it's over, is it time to quit or time to recommit? Thank you for joining me for another episode in this series on Is Long-Term Love Dead? Okay, today I'm going to talk about something that I get asked all the time. I had 2 different couples in my program I was working with this past week who were really on the fence. Should I stay or should I go? Brings to mind a very great rock song by the band Clash. This is a tough one, everybody, and I'm going to teach it from the heart. I'm going to be straightforward, and I'm going to be blunt, and I'm going to start with saying that we throw away our romantic relationships too easily, too often. There's an interesting book that came out maybe about 20 years ago. I believe it was called Too Good to Leave, Too Bad to Stay. And in it, they drew on some research with people who'd been divorced for, I think, 2 years at that time, some of whom had initiated the divorce, they wanted the breakup, and some of whom hadn't, male and female. I believe it was all heterosexual couples in that particular research. And basically what they found was that 2 years after wanting a divorce, initiating a divorce, and getting a divorce, about half of the people wished they had tried harder to work on their relationship and to improve their relationship. Now, there's a lot of reasons for that, right? You can think of several right now. One being, we maybe find out the grass isn't actually greener out there in the dating world or with someone new. The research on divorce is pretty sobering, and that in a lot of studies, it looks like our second marriages are even more likely to end in divorce, which seems to point pretty clearly to the fact that switching partners isn't always the answer. So to cut to the chase that I'm going to go into much more depth about today, I want you to reconsider recommitting for a period of time to the relationship you're in if one or both of you are really unhappy and if the possibility of breaking up or getting a divorce is on the table. Let me caveat that. I have absolutely no problem with divorce. I'm divorced once. So was my husband before we met years after our first marriages ended. I don't have any ethical problem with divorce. It can be a wise and loving and hopefully a compassionate ending sometimes. But when about half of people surveyed in that book and in that research regretted not trying harder to work on their relationship. And when I'm in this privileged, amazing position where I work with couples just like you all the time, and I've got incredible success stories that they have achieved by doing the work in my 12-week program and other work they've done to move from I want a divorce to in a much fresher, happier, new phase of their marriage, I can't give up on love. And my purpose, in a way, with this work is to champion the possibility that we can learn to change our mind instead of our mate. Now, this is some pretty deep stuff. I'm going to synopsis it here in today's episode. If you want to go deeper into some of these ideas, I actually recommend my book, Buddha's Bedroom. which in the middle of the book, I talk a fair bit about this from a Buddhist perspective or a psychology perspective about how our unhappiness is mostly in our mind. I know that's not the way we grew up in the Western world. We didn't grow up thinking that being fired didn't make us miserable. Our mind's reaction to being fired made us miserable, but that's actually the truth. So let's go back. Again, if you're intrigued by anything you hear today, you might want to pick up my book, Buddha's Bedroom, and read about it, because I go over the 4 facts of life according to Buddhist psychology and Buddhist philosophy, and I apply them to the very thing we're talking about right now. But I want to give you some of the juice. So here we go. Commit or quit. Should I stay or should I go? That's a very individual decision. And another caveat, of course, sometimes we don't have a choice. Our partner says, I'm done, and they leave. And even if we ask them, even beg them to try to work on the relationship, try to figure out where we went wrong, to try to move forward the way so many couples in my program have, our partner may say, no, I'm out of here. They may have fallen in love with someone else. They may just have walked away. If you need some encouragement, please go to our testimonial pages and watch the video of Howard and Karen. I've talked about them on this podcast before. In fact, we'll link below to a podcast episode where they tell their story here on Sex, Love, and Elephants in some detail. They went from him abruptly saying he wanted a divorce after 32 years of marriage to working really hard in the program and moving to where they've got a really great relationship now. And he just did this amazing birthday party for her last year, where he managed to pull off a dinner party with 8 of their couples that they knew, several from out of state, that he had to arrange secretly for them to all show up at the right time at their home. He made this incredible dinner with Chateaubriand and lobster mashed potatoes, because they'd been on a date somewhere in their history where she'd eaten that particular food and loved it. He didn't care for it, but he made it for her. A beautiful dessert and a slideshow with 500 slides of their life together. How's that for romance? How's that from 18 months from I want a divorce to recommitted? So take heart if you're struggling. Take heart that it's possible. You may not get the opportunity to work deeply on your relationship because your partner may flatly refuse, but at least you're here listening and learning with me now. To quit or commit. Well, you can hear, unless there's abuse or endless cycles, or one of you's flatly leaving the relationship no matter what, or there is alcohol or drug issues that are insurmountable at this time, and your partner refuses to change them, then it can be compassionate and wise to move towards separating. But if you're sort of okay-ish, but you're really unhappy, maybe you're both unhappy, maybe you have little or no sexuality. Several of the last episodes really dove into that. And we've got an upcoming guest episode in the next few weeks with my friend and colleague, Dr. Lori Brotto, where we're going to talk about mindful sex and female responsive desire and how you can use mindful practice to improve your sex drive and your sexual experiences. Stay tuned for that one. But for now, should I stay or should I go? Let's back up. The fundamental underlying psychological and relationship problem that leads to us being ambivalent. And I'm going to define ambivalence here. Psychological ambivalence is different from the way we might use that word in English. So if you say, hey, we're going out for dinner tonight, babe, do you want to have sushi or do you feel like a steakhouse? And I say, I'm good either way. I don't really mind. We might say you're being ambivalent. That's a fine way to use the word, but it's not accurate psychologically. Psychological ambivalence is much more painful than that. Psychological ambivalence is where we want something and we don't want something. There's a push, there's a pull. It's dynamic, it's uncomfortable as hell, and it's a really painful psychological state to be in. So I was talking to a woman yesterday where she's really shut down in her relationship after years of begging her partner to change in some ways, lots of disappointment, lots of hurt. He's had a wake-up call. He's trying really, really hard to move things forward. I'm really proud of him for it. She's got such a history of disappointment and hurt. She just doesn't know if she can try again. Totally feel for her as well. And she's really thinking about dissolving the relationship. They've got 2 young kids, so it's pretty tricky. She says it's actually easier to stay married, live in the same house, and co-parent our children, and it's better financially. And we were talking about this topic in depth yesterday. Should I stay or should I go? And as I said, we've only ever got 3 options in our relationship. We stay the way it is. We leave, break up, divorce, have an affair, etc. Or we stay and we change it. And because none of us are stupid, frankly, or masochistic, if we stay and change it, we of course want to improve it, not make it worse. This work is so difficult. There's a reason the Become Passion program is 12 weeks long, and there's a reason I have an ongoing optional alumni program where you can work with me and other couples for years. And we go on once a year, we go on a couples retreat together. This year it's in Hualtuco, Mexico, where my husband and I were married at the same exclusive set of villas that take only 40 people that we were married at. And we're going to do some couples workshops together, have lots of fun, swim in the pool, go boating, and learn how to cook Mexican food with this great chef we know, and so much more. Because relationship is such a difficult challenge that a lot of times when people spend 3 months working on it in my program, or other work you might all do, other great work, they end up saying, but we want accountability, we want help, we want hope, we want to keep going. So I'm telling you stories of couples in that program. By the way, I'm teaching it only once in 2025. We'll kick off in the early October 2025. If you're not already on the wait list, just to hear about the series of free workshops I'll be giving and my brand new upcoming free mini class, 3 or 4 video lessons we'll be sending out. We're just putting the final touches on that this month. It should be available in June. If you want to be appraised of all that, make sure you're on the wait list. You can click below and get on the wait list, or go to my website, drcherylfraser.com, as you might guess, and sign up for our weekly Love Bites, where I send you a video or a link to one of these podcasts so that you will know when you can sign up for the free workshops with me and potentially join me for a 3-month journey. Should you stay or should you go? What is the cause of unhappiness? Well, sex, love, and elephants is because elephants is a reference to working with our own mind, and it refers to the symbolism of the elephant of awakening, the wiser, deeper, you might call it your best self, your whole self. You might call it God. You might call it the universe. You might call it your inner wisdom or universal wisdom. You might call it grace. I call it Buddha nature or awakening, but it is the part of us that is free from selfishness. It's free from fear. It's free from trying to protect us and get what we want. And it's arguably, one way to put it, more in the flow of life. Now, that's explained better in the book in more depth, but for today, let's break it down to brass tacks. What are the facts of life according to a Buddhist perspective? The first is that everything changes. Impermanence is real. The mountain I'm looking at outside my window across the ocean here, Salt Spring Island, is changing right now. Rocks are dribbling down, animals are moving through it, changing the landscape, leaves are falling, leaves are blooming. And within 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years, that island probably won't be there at all due to natural or man-made disasters and the ongoing march of time. I'm looking now around my office. There's a throw pillow that I actually picked up in India, I think, in 1997, like a throw pillow cover. And it's still here. It looks a little dingy. It's got a little more dog hair on it than it used to. And eventually that won't exist either. I'll give it away to charity, or I'll maybe put it in a landfill. I probably won't. That's not my style. Or it might catch on fire, or it will simply be worn away to tatters in 10 years, 20, 30 years, where whoever takes care of my stuff after I die might say, this is tattered, let's throw it away. It's impermanent. It won't last forever. Spoiler alert, we're impermanent. Maybe we get 100 years, give or take. How marvelous is that? But we are definitely going to die. Relationships are impermanent. One of us will almost always die before the other one, unless we're killed simultaneously in some sort of sudden event or accident. I'm not trying to be a bummer. It's the first fact of life. The first fact of life, according to Buddhist teaching and our own obvious experience when we look around, is nothing lasts forever. The second fact of life is we don't like that. And some of the things in our life, we want them to last forever, like our good health, or our endless supply of delicious chocolate in the pantry, or our pets. We want them to live forever. We know they can't, but we wish they would. We certainly want, when we fall in love and say, hey, I love you, marry me, make me happy, we want our relationship to last forever. And by the way, everybody, I'm not in any way mocking any of us. A lot of this is so deeply ingrained in our psychology and our being that we crave security. Why wouldn't we, in a world that's always changing, crave security? The first fact of life, everything changes. The second fact of life, we don't like that. We like the changes that are positive. If someone dropped off some beautiful fresh flowers to me today, I'd like that change. If someone dropped off a bag of dog poop, I wouldn't like that change. When we forget, which we do every minute, and then we remember, and then we forget that everything changes, we delude ourselves into thinking, if we can just control the circumstances, only flowers, no dog poop, only good health, no cancer, only abundant finances, no debt, or no economic downturn. If we could only control the circumstances out there, we'd be happy all the time, right? Well, we don't know, because we'll never be able to control all the circumstances out there. How well is it working out for you? Even if you're doing pretty well, you've got a healthy, fairly emotionally healthy as well family. Currently, everybody you love is not acutely dying or in a terminal illness phase. Your finances are okay or robust. Your house is pleasant. You go on vacations. This is marvelous. You have my blessing, and I'm so pleased for you. But things are going to change. Someone's going to get sick or die. The economy can change. Your business could be shut down because robots do it all for you. Whatever it is, everything changes. Some of the changes suck. We don't like it. That's why we suffer. How does this relate to should I stay or go in my relationship? It relates to it intimately. Stay with me. I'm going to pull all these threads together. In our romantic relationships, as I mentioned, when we fall in love, there's a lot of stuff that goes on psychologically and in every other way where we, even if we don't really believe this with our smart, logical adult brain, we kind of feel like this is the one. This person can make me happy. We are happy together. I can hopefully make them happy. We're going to make a commitment till death do us part, happily ever after. Again, I know that you don't really believe that relationships are so simplistic that we could be happy ever after, but we certainly hope for overall life happiness together. We know there'll be some ups and downs, which is why I kind of like the more traditional wedding vows here in the West. Better or worse, sickness and health, richer or poorer. Because that's a real life thing. That takes into account these first two facts of life, which, by the way, in Buddhist teaching are called the Four Noble Truths. I'm calling them the four facts of life today. The first one, everything changes. The second one, some of these changes will be not in the direction we want. The third one is this causes a lot of suffering, and there's a solution to stop suffering. Are you ready? This is kind of deep, but also kind of simple. When we don't accept that everything changes, when we fight against reality, when we want it to be the way we want it to be to make us happy, we're unhappy. So let's apply this directly to your relationship right now. When your partner doesn't do what you want, when your partner does things you don't like, when your partner forgets your birthday, is grumpy and unpleasant, is forgetful and unreliable, or is controlling and critical and kind of bickery, or worse, or when they would rather play video games or watch TV or go to a pottery class or play with the kids or grandkids than pay any attention to you, your partner's doing things you don't like. When they don't do things you want, celebrate your birthday, enjoy planning fun dates with and for you, light up when you walk in the room, pleased to see you, like my grandfather did after 60 years of marriage. He still lit up like a Christmas tree every time that woman walked in the room. We suffer when we don't get what we want. And it's not because we're spoiled little nerds. It sure can appear that way, though. It's because we want to feel safe. We want to feel close. We want to feel filled up. Holy hell, everybody. That's way too much pressure to put on one person. I mentioned off the top today, change your mate, not your mind. We're going to get to that. Your mate isn't the problem because your mate isn't your soul mate. No one can be. No one can make us happy. We need to find our own way to be happy as we walk the path of this perfectly imperfect relationship with the person standing right in front of us. It will not always be easy. Sometimes it'll be super hard. There may be major trust betrayals, affairs. We may go through periods in the rocky road of our long relationships if we choose to commit to a long relationship and we manage to stay in it, where for months or years, we're not doing very well. We're pretty disconnected. We're in marriage incorporated. We're worried about building our lives, our careers, raising our kids, and paying off the mortgage, and we're just kind of roommates. All of these things are part of the natural phase of life. But the work I do here on Sex, Love, and Elephants and in the programs and in everything I do is to help us do better, damn it. Let me recap. The first fact of life, or the first noble truth, everything changes. The second, some of the changes we don't want, and that makes us suffer. And then we do this ridiculous thing that seems intelligent, which is we try super hard to control everything so it'll be the way we want. How's that working out for you? Especially if you're trying super hard to control someone so you'll be happy. Look, I love my man, and I know he loves me. We're currently in a bit of a pressure situation, nothing terrible. We're going on a big trip soon, and we've got a lot of planning to do, work to wrap up. He's in an online program to increase his career, super busy. We've got to get the pet sitters sorted out. We've got 2 elderly pets, all the meds we got to buy, all the things. We're really busy. And I'm a control freak who's really good with detail. My hubby has severe ADD that he manages fairly well most of the time, but he is not good with detail. It doesn't stay in his mind easily. And even when he makes lists and structures his life to support him with that issue, we end up in a clash where super controlling girl, that's me, says, do these 17 things, which is a terrible way to assign things to someone you love who has ADD, because they're not going to keep 17 things in their head. Even with a list, he'll only manage to do 13 of them. He's super intelligent, by the way, or I'd be bored. Super smart guy, but his mind works in a certain way. So we're hitting our pattern. I'm trying to control the situation by telling him exactly what to do and being critical when he doesn't. This is me being super transparent. And he's kind of giving up and then feeling bad and feeling like I'm at him all the time. And I'm feeling let down and freaked out because we do have a lot to do. And if it all falls on me, does this sound familiar? In terms of the facts of life, we're creating suffering by not accepting the truth of change. The change is, in this case, the difference between he and I. So if we wanted to be happy, which we're talking about today, and we're doing great, by the way, it's all good. This was temporary, and we fix that shit. We do the work I teach, and when we run into a bit of a rough patch, we step back, we analyze it, we do the techniques I teach, and we get back onto even ground. We did it this morning. The first thing is everything changes. The second thing is that causes us to freak out when it's stuff we don't want, so we try to control it. The third thing is stop trying to control life. That's the third noble truth, the third fact of life. And the third thing to think about when you're trying to decide whether to stay or go, whether to stay in your relationship or separate, break up, divorce, is the third fact. You will not suffer, i.e., you'll be happier and less miserable when you accept the truth of things as they are, whether you like them or not. Now, hold on. I know that triggered some of you. Are you asking me to accept the fact that my wife's an alcoholic and won't deal with it? Are you asking me to accept the fact that my husband is unemployed, laying on the couch and not trying to get work? Not in that sense, but if today, when you're hearing this, the truth is, your husband's laying on the couch unemployed and doing nothing to try to get any new work, or your wife is lying on the couch and she's got a severe alcohol problem that she's refusing to address. Right now in this moment, that's reality. It's a change you don't like. You want it to be different. But if you can, as a thought experiment, accept what is for now, instead of fighting so hard to control it because you can't right now, that can actually soften your heart. That can let you feel more warmth and kindness towards your partner and more willingness to say, I'm going to commit to being in this for a while longer. And I'm going to try new approaches to try to reach my partner and to try to take ownership for my part in things and to try to be a better partner. Now, this is a very simple overview of some very deep teaching. So pick up the book if you want to more on this particular topic. It'll really help you understand in much breadth and depth what I'm putting across very briefly today. But now, what's the fourth thing, Cheryl? For goodness sakes, the first thing is everything changes. Some we like, some we don't. The second is when we try to control it, we suffer. The third is stop trying to control everything and you'll be happier. What's the fourth? The fourth is how to cultivate your mind and your heart and your behavior so that you're a happier, more solid person. You're less affected by all the changes around you. You're less freaked out by what you can't control. You're less angry. You're less victim-y. This is hard work. It's why I just got back from 2 months in a house by myself, completely off-grid, meditating for 2 months, because I like to try to train my mind in these principles. And it's hard and it takes a lot of work. Should I stay or should I go? I still don't know. I don't want you to know yet, unless some of the caveats apply of a complete unwillingness of a partner, any abuse, alcohol, etc. Then it may be time to at least say, I need a temporary separation for 6 months to see if you're willing to step up. Otherwise, this isn't working. But for a lot of us, including the couples I was working with this week, that it's not horrible. They're just not happy. They're maybe not making love at all, or they don't feel connected. They don't feel they're on the same page as who they are as people. One of them wants to grow. The other one seems content. All the myriad of reasons that we can have doubts in our relationship because subconsciously we want our partner to make us happy. They cannot. Don't change your mate, change your mind is one of the teachings that I go more deeply into in the deeper work, which is if I'm going to make an example right now that could very well be real. If I'm mad because my husband promised he'd keep the house really tidy over these 3 weeks where I'm working extra double time between the retreat and a trip we're going on, and I come in and the dishes are dirty, the dishwasher's full, it hasn't been unloaded, the laundry's unfolded, and there's wet laundry that's been sitting for 2 days in the washer that's now musty, so it's got to be washed again, and the cat boxes aren't scooped, and the house smells like cat poo, and the floors need vacuuming, let's say. And we had a deal where he would keep things tidy while I'm teaching and doing other things. Right away, I'm going to have a reaction, right? And it's not going to be a positive one. This is the first and second fact of life. Things changed, and I don't like it, the first and the second. And so then I will immediately probably be annoyed, upset, angry, or hurt, or furious, or exhausted by this situation, blaming my spouse for not doing what he or she or they said they would do. Am I happy in that moment? No, I'm freaking miserable in that moment. Does it help the situation that I'm hurt, disappointed, angry, exhausted? No. Is it a natural way to feel? Until you've trained yourself otherwise, sure, it is a natural way to feel. Do I want to stay there? Overall, no. I may feel a head of steam, of righteous indignation, that I shouldn't have to deal with this, and they're so unreliable, and all these stories I could tell, which have some basis in reality. But if our larger goal, now I'm cutting to the chase, if our larger goal is happiness, if our larger goal is flexibility, to feel kind, to feel open, to feel loving more often than not, to accept our perfectly imperfect person because we bloody well hope they'll accept us because we're sure imperfect, then it might be, I can't believe what a mess the house is. That's not cool. But what went on? Why is the house so messy? In my case, it wouldn't be that he was sitting around doing nothing. It would be that he'd prioritized other things and done a whole bunch of other things for us because that's who he is. And then I can be, okay, great. I appreciate that. But I actually really need the house tidied real quick because I got to run upstairs again. And when I get downstairs, I'd love it if the house was more zen, so to speak. Are you up for that? And he'd be like, yeah, sorry about that. And we could move on. Should you stay or should you go? I don't know. But I do know this. People quit because they don't understand why they cannot change the patterns between them. People quit because it freaking hurts. People quit because they want their partner to be different, and maybe they're not so great at realizing some of the differences between us aren't going to change very much through our decades together. And it's up to us to learn how to adapt to our differences. Think of the yin-yang symbol, the black and white kind of a spermatozoa swirls together, where they complement each other. They create a whole. People leave relationships for a lot of reasons. Some of them are grounded and a good idea, but we also leave relationships because we subconsciously think our partner can make us happy. We blame them when we're not happy. We don't look at our part in the problem, and we're not good at realizing, as I've been forced to realize over 12 years, we fought about it a lot for a few years in the middle, that I'm always going to be a detail-oriented control freak. And he's always going to be someone who struggles to remember details and prioritize things. And we love each other deeply. And when we approach those differences, as we did this morning after a bit of a spat, we sat down and we had a good laugh about, he says, when you control everything, it kind of leaves no room for me to step up. And I said, have you met me? And we had a great laugh. And I said, look, sorry that I was so critical. It's not fair. Here's some of what I need. Can you manage it this today? Because you're also helping my dad and in school and doing a lot of things. He said, yeah, I can. And I said, and don't worry about the extra. I'll take care of that. And we had a hug and a kiss. And we actually did a stupid little dance because it's one of the things we do when we've had some tension between us is we do like a stupid little dance. And it makes us laugh. Especially because he so sucks as a dancer. It's freaking adorable when he tries because it's out of his comfort zone. So we had a hug and a kiss and a little dance, and then we said we loved each other. He went off to help my father. I came up here to record these beautiful podcasts for you, which is one of my favorite things to do. The moral of the story is this. When you expect someone else to make you happy, you're dooming them because they're not your soulmate. They can't be the perfect counterpoint to you, nor should they be, because they have their own history, their own needs, their own fears, their own childhood, their own everything. Love is about loving the perfectly imperfect person right in front of you, relaxing the control. Difficult for me, Cheryl Fraser, to do, but I'm a lot happier when I relax it. Because the Four Noble Truths, the 4 facts of life are very clear. We suffer because we're hanging on to something, wanting it to be a certain way. I suffer if the house is messy when we've agreed he'll tidy it, because I am hanging on to wanting the house to be tidy. That's my problem, arguably. And now I'm again not suggesting you just give up and, let your husband or wife or partner or lover or lovers be slobs, and you never bring it up and you never try to negotiate something that might work better for the two of you. I'm not suggesting you don't try to grow and change. Are you freaking kidding me? All of my work, all of my personal journeys, all of my friendships are about growth. Of course, I want you to improve together. I want you to find healthy, reasonable compromises around tidy houses or finances or whether to have another child or whether to retire early or whether to move or how you're going to tackle the fact that one of you just got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis or whatever it is. Of course, I want us to learn and grow and do better. But fundamentally, you're happy or not happy in your own freaking mind. There are people who could walk down into their house and it's really untidy and their partner was supposed to clean it up and they would be fine. But hey, babe, the house is really messy. Did you get busy? No suffering, no recrimination, no criticism, no unhappiness. How freeing does that sound? Your messy house, your unfiled taxes, you should get to that, by the way. These things are things outside of you. You are happy or not happy based on how you react to them with your mind. So when you're thinking, I think I might want to leave this relationship because of XYZ reasonably problematic problems that are not what you want and are difficult, I'm going to strongly encourage you to consider making a 90-day commitment or a 6-month commitment to going all in to learn and grow together, to figure out why you're so unhappy, to learn more deeply if your partner's as unhappy as you for different reasons or not, to learn what their hopes, dreams, and goals for this relationship is, to learn what yours are, and to see if, like Karen and Howard, I told you their story a little bit earlier in this episode, if like them, you can go from I want a divorce after 32 years of marriage to being in a better state in your relationship than you've been in for many years, if not decades. Their story is told here on Sex, Love, and Elephants. Their short videos and other stories are told in our testimonial page. Whether or not you have any interest of joining me for the 3-month program in October, no problem. Watch those anyway, so you see some hope from some real couples just like you, that it is possible to turn that ship around. Now, here's the bad news. The majority of couples don't do it, not because they're lazy necessarily, and not because they don't care necessarily, but because it's really hard work. We don't know where to start. We don't know how to do the deep work of changing our relationship. Many of the couples I work with in the 3-month program have had 1, 2, 3, or even 4 couples therapists. They've got some help from that. There's excellent couples therapy out there, but it can be hard to find the right one. It takes work, effort, and money and investment of your time. It takes making your relationship a priority to improve things. So should I stay or should I go? I don't know. But what I do know is if you commit to working on yourself, read some books, listen to this podcast, do whatever it takes. Join me for my free course that's upcoming. It'll be coming out in about a month. You sign up for the wait list and you'll make sure you get an invitation to that free course, and you can download it and watch it. Keep learning. Don't give up. Love is a hard gig. Ending a relationship's a big deal, and it's sometimes the correct decision for sure, but it's not without a lot of emotional and family and financial backlash. So I like people to be more clear before they decide that yes, for them, it is the right decision. So if you commit to working on your relationship and you still decide to split in 90 days or 6 months or a year, it's still so worth it because you have more clarity about what you want, about how the two of you are not finding your ways to be more compatible. And if you're then split, you can ideally, and this is rare and I wish it was common, you can ideally split with more kindness, more compassion, more fairness, less hatred, bitterness, recrimination, and all the ugly, awful things that can happen during a divorce, especially when kids are involved. It affects your kids and everything else. Should I stay or should I go? Can you postpone that decision? Can you work hard on changing your mind instead of your mate, in learning how to be a better partner, in communicating more deeply with your partner so he, she, they, them have a better sense of how the two of you can thrive together? I hope so. I hope to be a part of that journey. If you're listening today, I hope in a small way this has been part of your journey. And that brings us to today's Love Bite. Relationships are a hard gig. We need to change our mind, not our mate. We need to learn how to be a great partner instead of just demanding that they step up. And we need to learn how to love this perfectly imperfect person standing right in front of us. Until next time, I remain Dr. Cheryl Fraser. I'll be back with you in 2 weeks, and I'm really looking forward to it already. Bye for now.